Okay, so last time we talked about the first three angels of Revelation chapter 14. So today we're going to meet three more angels who are going to go out on mission for God as well, just like the first three did. So last time we also learned that the people of earth were told not to take the mark of the beast. They were warned if they take the mark of the beast, they're going to face eternal condemnation, correct? Because they've made the ultimate choice. It's going to be all over with at that point. So that's kind of the bad side of it. But the next few verses, we're going to learn about the people who do not take the mark. So let's read Revelation 14, 12 through 13. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are those who keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. Then I heard a voice from heaven saying to me, "Write, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors and their works follow them." So those who come to know the Lord during the tribulation time, the tribulation saints, they're going to face tremendous burdens, stresses, losses, and stress, and most likely their life. There'll be some that will escape, but a lot of them are going to be martyred. They're going to lose their life for following the Lord. They're going to make a choice, just like, the ones that are making a choice to take the mark. There are going to be some that say no, and they're going to lose their life, because they're going to be asked to renounce their faith and take the mark of the beast. And they're going to say no, but they're going to be blessed. That's what this verse is telling us. So the tribulation saints will be blessed for the patient endurance and given rest from their labors. It's going to be hard work to be alive during the tribulation period and be a Christian. You're going to be on the run. You're still going to probably try to witness people when you think it's safe to witness. It's going to be difficult. We think it's difficult.
They probably have the X mark or the fish mark again.
Maybe.
To draw on a line or some kind of secret.
Yeah, because it's hard to walk up to somebody and talk,
Yeah.
and you don't know because you're putting your life on the line. That's what they did during Roman times. They had to find a secret way to try to pass off who they were. They did the whole ictus. One would draw one half, and the other one would draw the other half as a sort of a secret message. Hey, I'm Christian.
It's already all over the world. If you're a Christian in Iran or Ethiopia, they're all being beheaded.
Right.
All sorts of awful stuff.
Terrible. That's why you read like the Voice of the Martyrs stuff, it's just horrendous. It's in so many cases. Martyrdom is already going on. Or just extreme loss of everything you love or own or have. You may not even be able to get a job in many places in the world. So yeah, it's difficult now. It's going to be even worse then. So
I know none of us here have lived through that kind of persecution, so I can only speak to what I can assume too. But even in the verse before it, though, it did say, and we have to remember this: the people without the Lord, there is no peace for them at all. There is at least a peace in knowing that we will be in heaven one day with the Lord. Because verse 11 says, "And the smoke for those who take the mark, and the smoke of their torment will rise forever. There will be no rest day or night for those who worship the beast and its image, or for anyone who receives the mark of its name." So they're not going to be, there will be no rest at all. So,
no rest in the end for sure.
Yeah.
They're tormented. You're tormented in hell. It's not the party life.
They'll be like soccer moms.
What's that?
No rest.
Seriously though, it's like you have to know that people, even though they may seem fine, if you don't know the Lord, you don't have a peace.
You don't. And you still stress about stuff. They may think they're getting provisions, but it's maybe only so much. You're still not living high off the hog, even if you took the mark. And you're still at the mercy of doing whatever the Antichrist and his minions tell you to do.
Still starving.
Look what we already have with the internet. I mean, we've got young people that are so depressed they're taking their own lives because somebody they don't even know doesn't like them.
Right, the pressures, yeah.
I mean, what a horrible existence that is.
Very sad. Very sad. Theologian Adam Clark wrote, "These are the only glorious dead. They die in the cause of God. They die under the smile and approbation of God. And they die to live and reign with God forever and ever." Okay, so there's your $5 word for today, approbation. Does anybody know what it means? It means you're pleasing the Lord, you're approved, you're, what was the other definition? Official sanction. You're praised by Him. So there's your big word for the day, approbation.
I'm glad you wrote it, we didn't have to write it.
Well, that's a quote, but anyway. So, anyway, we learn a new word every day. High Bible study. So, what's important to notice in this verse, it says their works follow them. Did you catch that? So, in other words, the works of the saints are remembered or honored in heaven. Our work for the Lord is important. What they go through, the things we do for the Lord, if we're doing it with the right motives and the right heart and in His ways, it's honored and remembered by the Lord, what we do. And for these saints who are giving it all during this time period, it is remembered and honored and blessed, what He does for them, what they do for Him. So let's read a kind of a quick review. We did this once before in one of our other lessons, one of our other studies. Let's read what the Apostle Paul taught about our work, 1 Corinthians 3:10 through 15. According to the grace of God, which was given to me as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation, and another builds on it. But let each one take heed how he builds on it. For no other foundation can anyone lay than that which is laid, which is Jesus Christ. Now, if anyone builds on this foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, straw, each one's work will become clear, for the day will declare it, because it will be revealed by fire, and the fire will test each one's work, of what sort it is. If anyone's work which he has built on it endures, he will receive a reward. If anyone's work is burned, he will suffer loss, but he himself will be saved, yet so as through fire. So we can be busy, at least in appearance, for the Lord, doing good things, so it would seem, but a lot is based on our attitudes, why we're doing it. Are we truly doing it for the Lord? Are we doing it for self, for approval of others, for gain? There are people that do supposedly good works for personal gain. So your work is tested in the end. It's based on, it's not a salvation thing. It's a base of a reward. And that's not why we should do the works. We should do the works for the Lord because we love Him, right? But the works that we do that are honest and true for the Lord, that are good motives, those are like gold. They don't burn up like hay and straw, and you're rewarded.
In youth group, Olin did his message was, are you working for the call or for the club?
Oh.
The what? For the call or for the club?
Mm-hmm.
Are you working for the call, God calling you to do something, or are you working for the club? For the praise.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Which is
the call or the club.
That's a lot of motivation for people, is to get that slap on the back and attaboy or whatever. And sometimes we do things for the wrong reasons because it needs to be done. We feel obligated, or maybe we want to show somebody up. I can do it better than they can. Or maybe we're just control freaks. We want to do it because we're a control freak. Anyway. Exactly.
Going in your closet and bringing privately to the Lord.
Right. Want to make a show.
You've got your reward right there on the corner.
Right. Exactly. That's your reward.
Yeah.
So
I think of the heart of granddaughter. That's the heart we need to have. You're really truly concerned about someone else.
Salvation. Yeah. So you need to think about things. Don't do things for the wrong reason. Because it's pointless. There's no blessings in that. Sure, maybe you're going to get some job done, but that's not it. It's not what it should be. So during our life on earth, we are to be building with good works for the Lord on the foundation of our relationship with Jesus Christ. We're doing everything for Jesus, what He teaches us, what He gives us. That's why He gives us the gifts in the first place, is to use it for Him, right? So, question for all of us is, are we building with straw, wood, precious stones, or gold? What are we building with? And I'm sure, I know for myself, I've probably built with all of those things in my life. There are moments where I've done things for the wrong motives. You know, just got to get it done, whatever. You know, it's not the right motive for doing it, doing something grudgingly. And I think sometimes we get caught in that in church, you know, because we got to get stuff done. It's not really the reason we're supposed to be doing stuff. So it's easy to fall into the straw and the wood, but we need to try to do things that please the Lord with the right attitudes.
Well, they become appealing. They're a quick clap. You
Yeah.
know, they're things we can see that need to be done. We get our time schedule, not God's.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so easy to do because that's our nature.
And sometimes it just satisfies us, because like me, I'm a productivity person. That's what motivates me a lot. You know, I like to work. I like to get things accomplished. Well, I need to be careful that I'm not just doing it to feel better because I got something done. It's not the reason to do it.
It's the Mary and Martha thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they're supposed to be both, really.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both.
Good balance.
Right. Still need to balance. But the things still need to get done.
Right,
I
exactly.
don't care.
We're all born with a certain, our own filter. Some of us, it's more appealing to be a Mary, or it's more appealing to be a Martha.
Right, a natural tendency.
And we just kind of complicated to stay close to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're doing exactly what He wants you to do. It isn't always just a easy cut and dry thing.
No, I'm just saying, you know, you have tendencies. Because I'm a workaholic, I have a tendency to fall into the work side of it. It's you got to be careful. You know, you're doing what the Lord wants you to do and when He wants you to do it.
Well, I want to be productive too, and I want to be able to say I have a product. So it's not always easy for me to be the Mary and sit and wait on the Lord.
All right.
That's what I was trying to say, is it's hard to wait on the Lord, do exactly what He wants to do.
In the right
I
time.
want to get in and get it done and show what I've done.
Right.
I think your attitude can give away too. If you start to feel irritated with other people or with the job itself.
That's very true.
It can show like there's something wrong here. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true. So it'll be nice if we can be remembered like the tribulation saints, blessed for our work that we've done for Him, that we've done it in the right heart, in the right way.
But in this situation, it would all be for Jesus.
Oh yeah.
Because can you imagine, not feeding your children?
Oh yeah, you're making a choice.
Making a choice, we're all in.
Yep.
Just gotta do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a horrible thing. That's why theirs were really labors compared to ours. We whine and complain about our stuff, and we're not going through nothing like them. And you can really get a little taste of that watching what goes on around the world right now. I read stories and I'm like, boy, the choices you're having to make, or the way you're having to live is just horrifying. So, very sad. So let's read the next few verses. Revelation 14 through 16. Then I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and on the cloud sat one like the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud, Thrust in your sickle and reap, for the time has come for you to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. So he who sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. Charles Spurgeon, the 1800s Baptist preacher, he said, how different it will be to see him with a crown of gold upon his head from what it was to see him wearing that terrible crown of thorns, which the cruel soldiers plaited and thrust upon his brow. The word used here does not usually refer to the diadem of power, but to the crown when in conflict, and it is very remarkable that it should be said that when Christ comes to judge the world, he will wear the garland of victory, the crown which he has won in the great battle which he has fought. How significant of his final triumph will that crown of gold be about those brows that were once covered with bloody sweat when he was fighting the battle for our salvation. And what a reminder, huh? He fought and won that crown. He deserves that crown. And when he comes back, he's wearing that crown. What a great thing. So our victor, Jesus, wearing his crown, is sent out to bring in the harvest. Some will be bad fruit to be crushed, and some will be good fruit to take with him. So, the man on the cloud with the sickle is Jesus. Not just an angel, it's the Son of Man, it's Jesus. The ancient Greek word for ripe in verse 15 has a negative sense. It means to become dry or withered. The idea is of something that is overripe. Sometimes I've had some grapes like that. That means that God will judge the earth only when it is overripe for judgment. It's far past time, in other words, to take care of business. Everybody got this? Got all these? Okay.
They're waiting and waiting for more people to come to them, and finally,
That's it. It's shriveled up. Time to go. God judges when the harvest is overripe. He doesn't rush into judgment. That's the blessing in that verse right there. We want those grapes to shrivel up and be overripe because that means he's been more than patient with mankind. And it's time. It's time. Sometimes we feel like it's time right now, right? But it may not be. There's still more people that need to come to know him as Lord. So he's waiting. He's just waiting until everybody has a chance. So 2 Peter 3:9, which I think we read last week, I can't remember for sure, teaches us about God's patience. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some count slackness, but is long-suffering toward us, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. This is one of those verses that kind of just puts a hush on people saying, oh, he's just a mean God. Why is he judging us and why is he condemning us? The reality is he wants all of us to love him and follow him and be with him. It's not that he's being mean. He's just holy and righteous, and he's going to be patient as he can with us till it's time. And then when it's time, he knows when everybody's had their chance. So God is patient with us. He does not rush to judge us because he wants everyone to have the opportunity to repent. We have a very gracious, loving, and patient God.
I was thinking John 3:17 when I heard the verse in Peter.
Yeah.
Run not sin, his son into the world to condemn the world, but the world through him might be saved.
Right. He's not here to condemn, he's to save us. It's the world teaches the opposite. He's such a mean God. He's condemning all of us. My God is a loving God. They always switch it to, my God is a loving God. Well, our God is too, but your God is not the same God. Your God apparently is not righteous. So this verse, this passage we read, is what they used to inspire the Battle Hymn of the Republic. You remember this verse, mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He has loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. So that's where this verse inspired this song. So let's read the rest of this passage in Revelation 14:17 through 20. Then another angel came out of the temple, which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. Watch out. And another angel came out from the altar, who had power over fire. And he cried with a loud cry to him who had the sharp sickle, saying, thrust in your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. So the angel thrust his sickle into the earth and gathered the vine of the earth and threw it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trampled outside the city, and blood came out of the winepress up to the horses' bridles for 1,600 furlongs, Sorry to get gross.
How long is it for?
200 miles.
So what, so 1,600, 200 miles?
No,
Or is
it's,
that-
no, wait, it's
My
200,
bus is 180 miles.
well, 200 miles was,
No, this says 180 miles too.
so in verse 18, gather the clusters points to the second coming of Jesus. That's what this is about. It's a prophecy about the coming of Jesus. Second coming. It's the harvest time. So right now we're getting kind of a little glimpse into the future, and then next week we'll go back to where we were. This little section in 14 is a glimpse into the little bit into the future. So Matthew 13, 24 through 30 says, another parable he put forth to them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field, but while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the grain had sprouted and produced a crop, then the tares also appeared. So the servant of the owner came and said to him, Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have tares? Tares are weeds or fake-looking wheat. Okay? So he said to them, an enemy has done this. The servant said to him, do you want us then to go and gather them up? But he said, no, lest while you gather up the tares, you also uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest, and at that time of harvest I will say to the reapers, first gather together the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. Then Jesus sent the multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples came to him saying, explain to us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said to them, he who sows the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seeds are the sons of the kingdom, but the tares are the sons of the wicked one. The enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are the angels. Therefore, as the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so it will be at the end of this age. The Son of Man will send out his angels, which is what we were just reading in Revelation, and they will gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and those who practice lawlessness, and will cast them into the furnace of fire. There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. So this is Jesus' teaching on the harvest that's to come at his second coming. He's going to send out the reapers to gather everybody up and separate them. Some will be going to hell and some will be going into the kingdom. But it's also a reminder, it's kind of a hidden thing in there. Sowed right along with us are the wicked. There's people in your midst that you may think are one of you, but they are not. But that's why God doesn't necessarily pull them all up at once, doesn't want to uproot us at the same time. But there's a time when it's right, and he's going to just take care of all of it and separate everybody out, and the truth will be known, who's who, and who's going where. So this is the second coming and the harvest that will take place. So in verse 20, blood came out of the winepress points to the Battle of Armageddon. So that's why I said this is a little glimpse into the future, this little section. And we're going to read about Armageddon and such passages in Revelation 16:16. Has everybody got this?
Can't spell
Armageddon.
You know, when it says the Mount of Olives will split in two, I was listening to a Bible scholar the other day, and he said there's a fault line.
Yeah, I heard that.
That was so
I don't think God needs a fault line, though. I think he
he's
can step
already
hard
said
enough.
that.
Yeah, he's prepared it, right?
Yeah, he's
There's those
prepared
little
it.
things that are there. So Revelation 16:16, which we'll read again later, just as a preview. And they gathered them together to the place called Hebrew Armageddon. So this is kind of this little, for chapter 14 is giving a little insight into 16.
Do you know what the real, you know what the translation is, the English translation for Armageddon?
It's Megiddo, the Valley of Megiddo.
Oh, there you go.
Sounds
I
similar.
didn't realize it was an actual place.
Yeah.
I thought it was an
Yeah. No, it's both. It's a place, an event and a place.
I just thought it was an event, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a place and an event. So now I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he who sat on him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he judges and makes war. His eyes were like a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. He had a name written that no one knew except himself. He was clothed with a robe dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. And the armies in heaven, clothed in fine linen, white and clean, followed him on white horses. That's us. Now out of his mouth goes a sharp sword, that with it he should strike the nations, and he himself will rule them with a rod of iron. He himself treads the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. And he has on his robe and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Then I saw an angel standing in the sun. Ouch! And he cried with a loud voice, saying, to all the birds that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather together for the supper of the great God, that you may eat the flesh of kings, the flesh of captains, the flesh of mighty men, the flesh of horses, and of those who sit on them, and the flesh of all people, free and slave, both small and great. And I saw the beast, the kings of the earth, and their armies gathered together to make war against him who sat on the horse and against his army. So Jesus, when he comes back with all of us on horseback, is to make war against the enemy. And it's going to be in the Battle of Armageddon. But we don't really have to do anything. We're there just for looks. We're just riding on our pretty white horses, kind of watching the show. But we'll talk about this in more detail when we get there, as we get to these passages. For now, I just want to say the 1,600 furlongs of blood, and verse 20 is approximately 200 miles long. Some of you guys said 180. So that's a lot of blood. It tells you how many wicked people are following the Antichrist. It's huge. It's filling a whole valley 200 miles long with their blood and their animals' bloods that they're riding horses, all this kind of stuff. Very, very sad. The Valley of Blood would be 200 miles long and 4 to 6 feet high based on the horse's bridle height. That's a lot of loss of life. It's like having a flood all over again, except it's a flood of blood. Very sad. So we also see this prophecy in Isaiah 63:1. Who is this who comes from Edom with dyed garments from Bozrah? This one who is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I who speak in righteousness, mighty to save. So that's talking about the same thing. It's part of that prophecy. It's talking about the location. The battle will be from Edom, the region, which is southwest Jordan today, if you want to look on a map. And it's the area where the family birthed out of Esau, Jacob's brother, settled. Way back then.
And he was the battle when
He's caused a lot of problems for Israel throughout generations. Lots of trouble. So, the good thing about this gross passage is that it's praiseworthy glimpse of Jesus doing his work as our king and conqueror and bringing victory and winning over the enemy in battle, right? It's a gross passage, but a good passage because it talks about what's going to happen. So let's look at a few other viewpoints right quick. The preterists, or the Roman Catholics, say the city on the cloud as a divine I must have left off a word. See the city on the cloud as a divine judgment and authority similar to Daniel 7, 13, 14. You can look that up. Rather than the final second coming. They see this as a judgment seat issue, not Jesus' second coming.
I think it's one of these things that people decomes right at the cloud.
Yes, yeah. Yes. It makes me wonder, I'm going to have to look this up, what Catholics and preterists think about the second coming. I haven't seen that. So the reaping of the earth is frequently understood as the gathering and protection of early Christians. So this is, once again, they see this as in the past, when the church was new. And these were the people that fled the Roman conquering of Jerusalem. And they see that this gathering, this safety thing that's going on, is really just the early Christians making it to safety out of Rome's hands. It's all back in the past. Because they took the answer to flee the city. They don't see it as future. They don't see it as a second coming, as taking care of the wicked. They see it as just all back in AD 70-ish. They're just caught in the past. The pastoral Methodist Presbyterian view see this as Jesus on a cloud with a golden crown and a sharp sickle. This grain harvest imagery symbolizes the gathering of the righteous, so they agree with us on that. A moment of ultimate rescue and eternal rest for those who have patiently endured. This grape harvest is a vivid metaphor that points to a day of final judgment on unrepented wickedness and systematic evil. So they agree with us basically on this. But the question is this the repeated cycle or the final one for them? And that's what I don't know. Okay, so the LDS or the Mormons view this as separation of wheat from the tares, like I read to you out of that Matthew passage, which, is what we see it as well. While the initial gathering began with the restoration of the gospel in the latter days that started with Joseph Smith. So this is back to that situation where the Mormons and I believe the Jehovah's Witnesses, they all think their church is the only way. And so the true gospel was restored to status when Joseph Smith started the Mormon church and started all these new correct doctrines that he taught. So they see that as the beginning of the gathering, that it started when Joseph Smith started the Mormon church. Other than that, the rest of us are, don't count. So it's what the work they're doing. So this phrase of the harvest for them represents the Lord rescuing and protecting the faithful when he returns in glory and judging the wicked. So they agree with us on that, so to speak, but they think it's all attributed to the Mormon church. The Jehovah's Witnesses view this as Jesus Christ, which is what we believe, who is enthroned as king, coming with those who have the heavenly hope, which we've discussed the last few weeks. So he's only coming with those special Christians, those 144,000 elite that have made the cut, that live in heaven with Jesus. They're coming on the horses to execute judgment at the end of the current system of things. So they don't see it as all the Christians, just the really good ones that they have decided who the 144,000 are. Okay?
I thought Jehovah's Witnesses view Jesus Christ as king.
They do, apparently. But it's just different than the way we kind of think of it, I think. So, but I'm sorry, if you guys don't make the cut, you don't get your horse. I hope you aren't disappointed. But, yeah.
Rather ride in a buggy.
You get what?
Rather ride in a buggy.
A buggy? So is Melissa going to be riding the horse and you're in a buggy behind her?
Chariot.
You're going to get a mule? That's going to be a slow ride.
The king comes in on us.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But it says we get white horses.
Well, I had another question about that. I had heard or read someplace that they revised that number, and I know I've missed.
Oh, the 144,000 is still the same, but what they revised was there's a split group. The cream of the crop Christians, whoever they are the 144,000. They get to go live in heaven with Jesus. The rest of us who don't make that cut, we get to live on earth. That's our paradise.
That's our new word, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So they see going to heaven with Jesus as the best blessing for the best Christians. Because they realized some of them weren't going to get any blessings at all because there were only 144,000 in their original belief system. So they modified it. So at least there was hope. Yeah, it's earthly hope instead of heavenly hope. So, anyways. So there's hope. You can always change your religion if you need to.
I think I'll stay here.
Okay. So the Seventh-day Adventists view this vivid imagery of blood flowing to the horses' bridles as just strictly symbolic. It's not necessarily a real event. It's a dramatic depiction, depiction of the sheer magnitude of the destruction of the wicked, rather than literal, endless, conscious torment in hell. They're not going to get killed and then go to hell. So they don't think this is more just of a picture that the wicked will be taken care of, but it's not going to be some bloody battle, and they're not going to go to hell.
It's a strong stance.
So that's the way they feel about it. So instead, they believe in annihilationism. Say that fast. Try to spell it. No, because I like you to learn these $5 words.
I want to play strong.
Annihilation. You know, I said this right at home, but I can't say it now. It's past my bedtime. Okay. I want you to go home and practice this. I want you to write it 10 times. So it means, what this cute little word means is that the wicked are ultimately destroyed in a consuming fire. Yes, Melissa? Poof, they're gone.
That's right.
And leaving them to cease to exist. So there's no hell for the wicked. They're poof, they're gone. No, they do not suffer. They die.
In the Bible, when it says eternal punishment, where does that?
So look at the verses I put on there. These are where they derive their belief from. If you read it a certain way, you could sure get that meaning. But yeah, we see too many verses that say no, there's eternal punishment for your wickedness. So this is Seventh-day Adventist version.
Jesus said there was.
But see, these are some of Jesus's verses. Matthew 10:28 is one of his, and they've converted it to mean, it's all in the way you read it, where you put the accent, you know. Yeah, exactly. So-
I did go back and read Daniel 7,
Did you?
13 to 14, because it's even referenced in my study Bible.
Oh.
When I read it's very clear that it's exactly Jesus, because it says, "In my vision at night I looked, and there before me was one like the Son of Man," it's almost word for word,
Mhm.
"coming in the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient of Days and was led into his presence. He was given authority, glory, and sovereign power. All nations, non-peoples of every language worshipped him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that will not pass away, and his kingdom is one that will never be destroyed."
But I think they're saying they see that it's him, but it's him as a judge and authoritative, not as coming for the second coming. I think that's how they differentiate it. They see it as just a judge position.
That means exactly what that means.
I know. This is why I say it's all in how you read it and interpret it. And you know, for a lot of people, it's all what their leader tells them. My leader says it means this, and then they don't go and study or look.
But I mean, the
So-
kingdom that will never pass away in the ancient days, like it's obviously, he's not just a leader, he's God's son.
That's why it's so important to read your Bible.
Yeah, it's important to read and study and pray about what you're reading. Because, yeah. So next time we'll be introduced to 7 more angels. Gosh, there's so many angels up in heaven. And they're all busy, I tell you. And they're carrying 7 bowls of God's wrath-filled plagues. Oh, joy. More plagues. So,
They just had a lot of blood.
yeah, but you know. So, anyway, that's where we're heading next week.